Today we're checking out the VOX MVX150C1 amplifier. This has a 12-inch speaker, it's rated at 150 watts. Let's see how it sounds. Welcome back, guys. This is Shane. You're listening to the VOX MVX150C1 amplifier. Let's take a look up close. Here's the amp up close. When you plug this in and actually get it going, this whole panel actually lights up blue. I think that looks really cool. I love this sort of black VOX grill cloth as well. I think it just, I don't know, it has a really cool look about it. It doesn't look too non-traditional in many ways, minus this new metal plate they got going on here, which I actually really like instead of that plastic VOX logo. I kind of dig it. Let me know what you think about that. Here's the front of the amplifier. Now, one of the really cool things about this is we get 4 different channels. We get 2 on this section, which is the clean and crunch over here. So that's pretty nice. We get a dedicated clean channel and a crunch channel that works really well for bluesy sort of stuff. Then on this one, we get the rhythm and lead, which is kind of like the crunch channel on that side with maybe a little bit more hair. But essentially, we get the lead channel, which is much, much higher gain. We get some shaping options thanks to all of these toggle switches here as well. Now we also get a 3-band EQ, we get a reverb control over here, presence and resonance, so that's like a top-end control, and this is essentially like a low-end sort of scooping, shaping control. We'll get into that in the video as well, as 2 master volume outputs. Pretty cool. One of the best things about this amp is the fact that it's got a power attenuator on the back, so you can drop the power level from full, which is 150 watts, I'll explain those quotations later, all the way down to 1/1000th, which is quieter than most people's voice. And another really cool thing is we also get an effects loop over here as well. At the end of this video, I'll share my experience playing this, both the pros and cons, and whether or not I think it actually feels like a 150 watt amplifier. A massive thanks to Sky Music here in Melbourne, Australia for letting me borrow this. Links to Sky Music will be below, as well as some Sweetwater links down there, which also help support the channel. Let's get into it. Let's start off on the clean channel. So as you can see, I've got everything pointing at about 1 o'clock, the gain, the tone and the volume. We have the bright switch on and the fat switch currently off, which will give us very classic sort of AC 15-ish tones. Let's take a listen. This is a neck pickup. Beautiful. And now if we turn off the bright switch, you're going to hear how much it actually reduces the high end. It's still bright, but it's nowhere near as bright as with the bright switch on. Hopefully that made sense. Let's try it with the fat switch on now, which really brings out a little bit of a mid kick. Here we go. Nice. All right, let's go over to the crunch channel, which is on the same section of the amplifier. I'll leave everything where it's set and we'll take it from there. This is neck pickup. Let's do some lead stuff. So good blues, sort of crunchy tone. Over to bridge. Now the bright switch and also the fat switch work on this channel as well. So let's turn the bright switch on. I'll turn the fat switch off for a moment. That's bridge pickup. I think I like that though with the fat switch on. Maybe the bright switch off. Let's take a listen. Yeah, to my ear, at least in the room, that sounds better, but if you like a brighter tone, just flick the bright switch on and you're laughing. Over to some heavier tones now. Let's give this a shot on the lead channel of the amplifier. I have the bright switch, the fat switch, and the mid shift buttons all on. Here we go. It's a bridge. Volume control down. Let's take a look at the bright switch now. I'll play the same thing twice. This is neck pickup. That actually sounds pretty great. It kind of takes those ice pick VOX high-end tones out. You can also adjust, obviously, the tone control a little bit if you want more treble, but we'll leave it like that for now. Let's take a look at the fat switch as well. Currently in the off position. Ooh. Fat switch on. Now, that almost sounds to me like the shape of a Tube Screamer EQ. Not that it's adding the gain of the Tube Screamer, but it's adding that frequency that a lot of VOX amps miss. They kind of really scooped in the mids. This sort of fat switch adds that back to some extent. It sounds great. All right, and the mid shift. We'll actually just turn it off. let's get this to feedback. By the way, I think that actually sounds really cool in the room. Let me know what you think. Over to my Tokai Love Rock electric guitar. We're going to test this out now with the gain all the way up at 3 o'clock. Here we go. Feels so good to play under the fingers. Feels great. And now over to the rhythm channel, which is part of that lead circuit over here. So I've flicked this switch up. I've also adjusted a couple of the parameters. Let's give this a go. Man, there's definitely a whole lot of tones in this amp, no questions about it. Let's take a look at the presence and resonance controls on the amplifier as well. This will give you more shaping at the low and high end. I've set them both to 12 right now, just for the sake of the demo. Here we go. Beautiful. One of the cool things about this amplifier is you've got a power attenuator on the back, which means you can drop the overall output of the amplifier while hopefully keeping the tone of the amp alive. So let's give this a shot. This bridge pickup. Already it's at about conversation level, maybe slightly louder, but not much. I think there's one more stage, and that's way below conversation level. Here we go, it's as low as it goes. I can barely hear that, and I can barely see it on my waveform as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn it up one notch, back to the second from the end, and what I'm going to do now is boost the volume of this in post. So what you'll hear is a very loud signal coming out of this or on the video, but it'll actually just be very low, like lower than conversation level. And then I'm actually going to put the amp back to full and see how much of a tonal difference there is. So I'm just going to play the same thing. Here we go. All right, so that's lower than my speaking voice. And all the way back up, and these will be balanced. And back with the attenuator down. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Shane. So what do I think about this amplifier overall? It's pretty damn good. I actually had a good time filming this. The clean channels were nice. I like the crunch channel a lot for kind of like bluesy stuff. And the lead tones were actually really good as well. One of the sort of criticisms I've always had about playing Vox amps over the years is they're very heavily mid-scooped. I like the fact they've added that switch which kind of kicks back that frequency which a tube screamer would add to a Vox amplifier. I really like that, sort of fattens it out, makes it feel a lot more full, and it would cut through the mix a whole lot better as well. I used to gig exclusively with a Vox AC15 and a Vox AC30 as well. Both of them sounded great. They were awesome amplifiers, but you really did need a tube screamer to sort of help it cut through the mix in that mid-frequency range. They got lots of tops, lots of bottoms, but they kind of scooped. It's just inherent of the EQ on Vox amps. I kind of like the fact this has a switch that can kind of bring back that frequency. So overall, that's pretty cool. Another really great thing is the power attenuator. I was really surprised by how well it worked. I haven't listened back to the actual project yet, but in the room, it actually sounded like the amplifier just at a much lower volume. So this brings me to the conclusion, does it actually sound like a 150 watt amplifier in this room, given that I've tested so many amplifiers in here? Absolutely not. It doesn't sound bad though, so don't take that the wrong way. It just doesn't feel like it would even keep up with my 40 watt Marshall DSL-40. That amp is just brutally loud. If I turn that amp up in here, I'm gonna have the cops coming over. I didn't feel like that with this amplifier. I had the master volumes all the way up, the channel volumes up past half, like 1 o'clock thereabouts, and it still wasn't even close. It sounded cool, but yeah, very different sound to a conventional valve amplifier in terms of the throw of sound, but what it did extremely well, and people will probably like this because you can use it at home, still get those nice boxy tones, and nice compact package as well. I kind of like the fact the amp's taller than wider as well. I'm sort of got a thing for amps that are just slightly taller. It reminds me a little bit of some of the 2-rock amps I've seen in terms of them just being a little bit taller than opting to go wide. So overall, build quality wise, tone wise, it was enjoyable to play. I just don't think it feels like a 150 watt amplifier. You know, I've owned a Fender Mustang 3 version 2, and that is brutally loud. I'm not getting the same sort of vibe with this in the room. So food for thought there, just my honest feedback. A massive thanks to Sky Music for letting me borrow this. Links to them in Australia will be in the description below, as well as Sweetwater down there as well. They help support the channel, so thank you so much if you choose to use those, and I'll catch you on the next video. See ya.